The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. There was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour is not yet come." His mother said to the servers, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told them, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it. And when the head waiter tasted the water that had become wine without knowing where it came from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, and then when people have drunk freely, an inferior one. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord. My friends, I'm not in the habit of naming my homilies, but in light of the topic, I thought I might do so: partying like a Catholic. That's the topic for our homily this weekend, partying like a Catholic. Because we Catholics, we're known for penances and for seasons such as Lent and Advent, where we lay low and are at least supposed to be low-key. But we also are known for partying it up, for celebrating well. Sure, the Irish brought to you Catholic guilt. They also brought you Jameson, okay? I'm just saying. So we as Catholics, we have a long, rich history of partying well. And the reason why I see fit to preach about this serious topic, it is a serious topic, is because of the gospel. The Gospel of John, in which Jesus begins his earthly ministry at a wedding feast, at a party, a place of celebration. And the first miracle called forth by our Mama Mary is to bring forth wine that will bring laughter deep into the night and will draw families together. How do we party like a Catholic? How do we do this well? 3 principles I would like to elaborate tonight. Number 1, do not party alone. The importance of Christian friendship. Number 2, do not leave your brain at the door. Remember your reason. And number 3, make sure that your recreation actually helps you recreate. Do not party alone. My dear brothers and sisters, Christian way of life demands friendship. It demands real friendship. It demands that we are walking with individuals who are striving to take their own life of faith seriously. It's not enough just to have acquaintances and people that we go out with on Saturday nights. That's great, that's wonderful. But we also, all of us, have to have fellow Christians who hold us accountable and whom we speak to about matters of faith, matters that really matter. If we don't have Christian friends who are striving to walk with us and to challenge us and to build us up, we've made the faith a book study. We read in our own time, we understand what we can understand, and we get out of it what we can get out of it. But we don't actually have a support system by which we grow in virtue and are assisted. My brothers and sisters, the human being comes into existence in the midst of a family, in the midst of the embrace of love. Because that is what we need. We need relationships. Far too often, we as Catholics in particular come to Mass on Sunday. Please God, we get to Mass on Sunday. And then the rest of the week, frankly, we don't think too much about faith. Those small groups that, let me tell you, I am not naturally inclined to, okay? Small groups. As I've said before from this pulpit, I'm Irish and I'm Norwegian, which means I'll party with you, but I will not bare my soul to you. So a small group is not really my idea of a great time. But it's needed. It's needed. Why? Because the Christian way of life is meant to be lived in community. It's meant to be lived in community. So I urge you all to examine your life. Do you have friends who are striving to take the faith seriously? Are they there for you? Do you meet regularly with them, just for a cup of coffee or the aforementioned Jameson, whatever it is? Are you supporting one another, walking with one another? If you don't have such friends, you need to get them. Maybe through a study group here at Transfiguration, maybe through some small group, through our wonderful school, whatever it is. There needs to be community in your life. Do not party alone. Number 2, make sure that you do not leave your brain at the door of the party. Our way of celebrating should not diminish our capacity to think clearly. Obviously, the first examples one can point out are drink or other forms of recreation in which the reason is muted, let us say. Now, my brothers and sisters, again, the church is not for prohibition. But the church calls for the proper, moderate use of those things that bring us joy. The church calls us to be cautious, to use these things well. But it goes beyond drink. It also touches upon, blog posts, sports teams. How many perfectly sane human beings become rabid fiends in the face of the loss of their favorite team? Now, I'm not talking just about sitting on the couch, throwing a pillow at a missed kick, okay? I'm talking about getting online and literally trashing the humanity of the opponent. I'm talking about getting online and tearing apart the opponent who doesn't vote like you do, and assume all kinds of awful, foul rationale for why they do what they do. Some politician that drives you crazy. You forget that they're a human being like you. So maybe it's not such a good idea to be mashing on the refresh page of your political website every single 5 minutes. Maybe it's driving you kind of crazy and you're losing your reason. We need to make sure that how we celebrate, how we recreate, does not make us lose what makes us human, our rationality, our reason. Finally, I promise you finally, we need to make certain that our recreation actually helps us recreate. Does it help us be good? My dear brothers and sisters, the first example that I would put forward is the music we listen to. I know, Father Erickson, the old fuddy-duddy, asking us to look at our music. Come on, Father. But the question is, does the music we listen to help us or hinder us be virtuous? Does it help us or hinder us in how we think about the opposite sex? Does it help us or hinder us in living a life of self-control? Does my habits of sleep, does my habits of video game playing help me or hinder me in my workplace? Does it help me or hinder me develop real friendships that are so important? Does the recreation that I enjoy help me actually grow in virtue? Does that time of rest help me keep my eyes focused upon what I ought to be doing? Music, all these sorts of different things that are important and good, they form our emotions. They form our emotions. The shows we watch, the music we listen to, there it is. I'm probably preaching to myself. I've got to listen to different music myself. The shows we watch, the recreation we're involved in, does it really help our emotions? Does it put images into our mind that are actually helpful? Or are they unhelpful? Does our recreation recreate us? My brothers and sisters, we Catholics, we're all for a good time. We are all for a good time. But we can't do it alone. We must grow in Christian friendship with those who are committed to celebrating with us the way of life that we have been called to. We have to strive to remember that what sets us apart from the rest of the animal kingdom is our reason. And we must make right choices and not accept compromises. And we must make certain that our recreational activities actually form and shape the emotions in a way that helps them push and prod the will as they ought to do. May Jesus Christ, the great bridegroom, give us the grace to celebrate well, so that we might train well for the eternal wedding feast of heaven.